Bharosa is currently considered the leading pure-play fraud detection as well as multi-factor authentication company. We're securing, as of today, 20 million users across the U.S. and abroad. And we're also very excited to announce today a partnership with Microsoft to enable us to continue scaling our business. Detection as well as multi-factor authentication is used to both screen to protect internet users as well as employees and enterprise users from various types of fraud. This can be phishing or computer malware or more insidious attacks like man-in-the-middle that's getting a lot of attention recently, as well as fraud detection and multi-factor authentication solutions can be used to further secure an internet transaction. This can be a banking transaction or an enterprise transaction, also to secure documents or medical records or even e-commerce transactions. So fraud detection really is being rapidly installed, especially in the U.S., to protect both online transactions as well as enterprise transactions from various types of fraud. Typically four distinct gates, which is actually proprietary to our company, that we install to protect an enterprise or a user. The first gate typically allows a user to be protected because he's authenticated not just by a username and password, but also by the device that he has in his possession. This can be a computer or a phone or any apparatus that he's navigating with the transaction. The second gate and step is to verify the user or transaction based on a host of different policies. That is, what rule does the enterprise want to install, or what types of fraud is the enterprise looking for. So it's really a phased approach to making sure that the user and the transaction is protected. The third gate is making sure we know who the user is based on his related experiences. So not the device that he has in his possession, but also his experience compared to an aggregate of past experiences. So we can tell who the user is not just by something he has in his possession, but also based on a comparison of who he is and how he's transacted in the past. And then the fourth gate is making use of the wealth of third-party data that currently exists within the enterprise. This can be legacy database information. This can be online CRM or ERP data. So financial institutions, e-commerce institutions have terabytes of data that just collect dust, and we can feed that data into our fraud detection and related engines and further define a transaction. First attribute typically to look for in a Bharosa customer is an online presence or a login. So any application, it can be a bank or e-commerce entity that is securing its assets via a typical username and password, is something that we secure. But also the nature of whatever the transaction after the username and password is. This can be a bill pay or a banking transaction or a document request, we secure. And then finally the nature of the employee interaction with the enterprise. We help secure how the enterprise is actually transacting with its own employees as well as transacting with the world. We secure 3 of the top 10 U.S. banks, including Wells Fargo and National City Bank, that we've announced. The third we have not announced yet. We secure 5 of the top 25 credit unions in the U.S., including Desert Federal Credit Union, Dearborn, and a number of other credit unions that we've announced. We have a large partnership with the United States Air Force that we're very, very proud of, as well as partners in e-commerce and healthcare. We're in the RSA conference today in San Francisco, and we even protect the University of California in San Francisco in the medical field. All in all, we have announced today that we secure 20 million users worldwide across more than 30 distinct enterprise customers. And across a few of those enterprise customers, we actually secure hundreds of distinct financial institutions because they're an outsourced platform provider of technology and services, and they've selected Bharosa to secure all of their member banks. One example of that is a company called AudioTel that currently has more than 1,000 banks subscribing to their systems, and Bharosa protects those customers for AudioTel. What we're hearing from our customers, and what I would say, is that our fraud detection ranges in all of its iterations from a 7 out of 10, 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10, even at times a 10 out of 10. And that's an objective statement. And the reason that's so significant is if you look at almost any other technology that I can envision, there is an Achilles heel with a token via phishing or the man-in-the-middle attacks and others that I just talked about. That's literally a 0 or a 1 out of 10. We're not doomsday forecasters, but there is a lot of technology that existed for a number of years that is rendered obsolete by these new forms of attacks. So to be at a 5 or 10 or better across the entire gambit, the entire matrix of particular vulnerabilities is something we're very proud of. Our glorious hosts at this RSA conference. RSA is certainly a competitor. VeriSign we consider to be a competitor. Entrust are typically companies that we see in competitive bids. Also a slew of privately held either pure play fraud detection or multi-factor authentication companies. However, to my knowledge, we are the only pure play company that has grown both fraud detection as well as authentication solutions from scratch, whereas you've seen a lot of merger and acquisition activity from some of our larger competitors acquiring whether it be authentication or fraud detection technology. So we made a concrete choice a number of years ago to build both solutions from scratch. And that holistically is an approach that is being further embraced by our enterprise customers, because to get all of those gates or philosophies in motion to defend against fraud, when you're dealing with 150, 200 concurrent users per second across user populations of 5 to 10 million users is extremely complex. And so it helps if the solutions, fraud detection and authentication solutions, are born to work together. I think the key strength that immediately resonates with our existing customers and potential customers is an embedded fraud detection and multi-factor authentication capability that was built organically from scratch and specifically designed to service the types of customers that we're seeing, literally because we built these solutions around some of our inaugural customers. We didn't take our venture capital money from traditional venture capitalists, we took it from our existing customers. So I don't believe there's another company in the space that has built both fraud detection and authentication capabilities. RSA and VeriSign have acquired, for example, their fraud detection capabilities, and it remains to be seen whether those capabilities work together as well as ours. There has to be some reason why our company is selected in the first place. So that's the first reason. And the second reason is I think it's the classic disruptive software story. We're profitable right now on just over 50 employees, yet we're selected by some of the enterprises I mentioned over now RSA/EMC's $20 billion market cap and 25,000 employees. And I think our nimbleness, our flexibility often factors into the equation to ultimately provide value. Regarding the open source, we're actually not that big a fan of that approach. We think that these are primarily closed systems given the sensitive nature of what's happening, and we have a sharing network of fraud data and related network that transcends and helps enterprises communicate, but we don't see as much traction in the open source. Apologize.